Okay, so we are covering how to take the product comparison research, such as the work here done on Semel or Semly or Semely or however you pronounce it, and turn that into a comparison page, such as one of these. Which gives a certain set of information about the product and then has feature comparison of some sort. So where I start is on this page, actually, because it's kind of a fast way to get to kind of, you can say edit this page. I'll do that in a different tab. And that should take you into GitLab. If you're not logged in, you'll need to log in to be able to make changes, but you should be able to see it because it's all public. That at least, if you're looking at the page, gets you quickly to, here's the right repository, right, that it's in, which is since this right now is part of our website, it's in the www.gitlab-com repository, project in gitlab.com. So the other way you can do that is if you just go to gitlab.com and log in. You could go to projects and type in www.gitlab.com and it will find our web project. Because the repository that we use to run our website and to make changes to our website is also just publicly available on gitlab.com. Not changeable by everyone, but is out there. So anybody can put in an issue or even an MR to make a change. And that'll take us to this, which is the website repository or project. And part of in GitLab, there's project and information about the project, and then there's the repository, the issues, etc. The pipelines are down there. So the repository is what we want. So we go to repository files. And this is actually the set of files that make up our website. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can either go in here to the file you want to edit and then edit it on the website. You can also, the recommended way is to pull a copy of this down to your local environment.
Correct.
And then do the changes there and then upload it back. Now, the reason that that's preferred or recommended way is because you can actually run basically the same static page generator or page generator on your local system or in a VM or a container, so that you can kind of rapidly see the changes as you make them, which is a lot nicer than every time you make a change here, you don't get to see the result of that change until it runs through the whole pipe, which takes like 20 minutes. So that's way too long a feedback loop. So so what we'll do is, I've actually already got this set up, but we'll go to, remember this, project, we'll go to clone, and so we don't have to mess with the SSH keys, we do the HTTPS copy, and then, oh shoot, I'm not sharing my terminal window. I guess I will. I wonder if I can add, oh, we're recording this too, aren't we? Hold on, let me see if I can add to share two things at once. That would be cool. I don't know if that's possible. Content. I know, we'll do a portion of the screen. That way it can be messy for just a second here. If I can actually change the size of it. And this was the window we were using. The reason I'm doing this is because I don't want you to have to contend with my super large screen.
Yeah, you got just so many windows and whatnot, right? So it's like.
Here we go. Okay. Am I still recording? I think I'm still recording.
Yeah, it's still recording.
Still recording. Good, thanks. I'm going to give myself a little more space here. Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay, cool. So what I do is I have a Git directory, And in that directory is different repositories I've pulled down. So the one that we want is, and so what you would do is you would say git clone, and then you would paste in that URL.
Link. Okay.
And that will pull down all of www.gitlab.com as a repository and put it wherever you are running that command from. So that is effectively how I got this, right? I went into my Git repository and I ran that command, pulled everything down. And so now I'm in that directory. And so there's hidden Git files that tell it all this, basically the stuff under here and here, that kind of tell it where you're at and what branch you're on and what you're changing to the files and all that. Just ignore that. I mean, you don't need to worry about that. What you want to do is look at things like git branch, which will tell you what branch you're sitting on. So right now I'm in the middle of making changes on this. I'm going to do a checkout of master, which means I'm switching my branch to master. So if you stop me if I'm telling you stuff you already know. So now I'm on master. I'm going to do a git pull to get the latest updates that everyone else uploaded to the repository, the shared repository. Looks like there's some stuff. I don't remember where I left things. And so now I have now my copy of the website equals what that's right. And then quite honestly, that's now you've got all the files that are also shown here. Files. So this should match. The reason I do it here because it's a lot easier to work within an editor or on the command line. So you could actually go into that file system and go down to go find the file you want to edit, etc. What I do is I run Atom in this not in that directory, in the project directory. So that Atom is it's a text editor / IDE that that actually GitHub created. It's actually pretty decent. It's got some good support, good plugins. Another one that's pretty good I haven't used is the most popular one out there is Microsoft Visual Studio Code, which is also kind of like a standalone text / IDE editor. You could have an actual IDE editor. Basically, it's just Git, so you can plug up whatever editor you want. You could do VI if you want and do Git commands, right? Like I could go to here, and I could say vi features.yaml is our main file that's got everything, right? And I could make an edit to that, and then I could save it, and then I could add it to.
Got it.
You could do all that manually. It kind of sucks too. So Atom, it runs locally. It's gonna be bigger than my window, so I'll make it smaller. Here, you can see the last stuff I was editing. There we go. Okay, so I'll do this and then make it small enough that I can get to the other window. Okay, so the last thing I was editing was category. We don't need that. We don't need that anymore. Okay, and so the default setup, you come in, it drops you into that project space. So this is the www space, right? It's actually data. Oh, shoot, my bad. I did exactly what I said don't do. I want to be in the whole project. Let's do that again. Oh, that was lovely. Okay, that's not what I wanted to have happen. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I think it's there. Yeah. I don't know what that shows you.
Just blank.
Did you see my whole screen switch desktops?
It had some emptiness. There was boxes with nothing in between, sort of.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, that it brought me over to a different desktop where I had Atom running already. So
okay,
I didn't know. Okay, so we should be back. Yeah, you're seeing Atom. Okay, and I had this closed. Okay, so your default setup is going to drop you into the www project, and that gives you. There you go. That's why the difference here. All the files, I have a bunch of them open, a couple of them open, source, Yeah. So this is that repository, right? Same one that we have on the web. So now we're going to start talking about, I spelled policy wrong. Now we're going to start talking about actually adding a comparison. So the comparison stuff is across a couple sets of files. The main feature information is in a data file, so under the data area, not source, data, called features.yaml, which is this amazingly huge and unwieldy file of like everything that we consider to be a feature in either our product or
something else,
a competitor's product. It also, just through, I mean, we've actually separated this out some over time, but it also happens to include what we consider the DevOps tools, which before used to be competitors, right? So these are the tools that we compare against in, where to go? In, what's here somewhere? In the dev, no, here it is, right? So these are all of these tools, the definition of these. So if you want something to show up in this table, you've got to define it in features.yaml as under dev tools.
Got it.
This is a YAML file, so it's all about indent and colons and or whatever. It's basically, you have to stick to the format. One of the things nice about Atom is it kind of helps you a little bit along about that.
Sure.
Most IDEs will. It's set as in the YAML format, so it'll check that for us. So you see, for example, like, let me go back. Here's our definition. This is the most complete one we compare everything against, which is GitLab Ultimate. The standard setup is the name, like the human name, readable name. This is going to be the computer read name, a reference. Short name, I don't remember how that gets used. The logo, this is what you see appear on that page. And then the category, these are from the categories.com or .yaml, which, so I just opened up that file. So categories.yaml is where our PM team primarily defines their hierarchy of what's a group, what categories are in that group. And so the best way to see that, good thing we're recording this, is if you go to, I just GitLab search for GitLab categories. Sorry, I said wrong. I Google search for GitLab categories. There's this page in our handbook called product categories. And this is where the definition of how we break down the world from a functional perspective is, like from the how we think about the product groups and how we think about organizing our PM team and our engineering team around that. So it's only recent that we're like, yeah, well, that's not how we're going to organize the marketing output because we need to think about it from a user perspective, right? But if you look at it from this point on, right, there's the DevOps stages. So there's the dev section, right, highest level. There's a dev section. This is the table of contents. And then there's a CI/CD section and an ops section and a secure section, etc. And each of these, so like manage is part of the dev section, and manage has, this is what we call a stage, right? Manage stage. And that's kind of a weird first example, but, and under that, there's different groups, which are basically groups of categories that are related. So the access group has authentication and authorization. This is actually it's not italic, so it's an outward facing like product category. Groups and users are internal categories that they use to organize like work, basically. So if it's italics, it's not, it's an internal facing.
Okay.
Compliance group, so under manage, use this as a compliance. So audit management and workflow policies, these are outward facing categories. So each of those should have like at least a vision, if not issues and other stuff. Blah, blah, blah. So let me go to like one that probably makes a little more sense. So we'll zip past plan, create stage. So this is the create stage in the infinity loop. There's a source code group, right, which includes source code management and code review. So each of these are effectively, these are categories, and each of these are something that there could be one or more competitors
Sure.
that play in just that space or more, right?
Okay.
Like source code management, right? Like there's tons of those. Knowledge group is design management and wiki. Now the group things are not outward facing really. They're kind of like for our own organization, like they assigned a director, I think, to each of these, or something to that effect. Web IDE, live coding snippets, and then these are like only internal. You can see that there's a group, but it only has italics, right? Etc. Right. So that is actually defined all in here in the categories.yaml.
Okay.
You can actually see that here: group, manage, etc. The reason that I point this out is because these are the list of the categories that I think still maybe they've changed this around. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, am I missing it? There we go. So that must be a separate list. So time tracking, agile portfolio management, Kanban boards. Let's go to the top here. Here we go. Issue tracking, workflow policies, etc. Importers. Yeah, some of these are internal. That's why it's weird. Right. So these are this, and again, those are bad examples. Issue tracking, right? Marketing page. That's Kanban boards. We'll pay attention to that. So these are the categories that are tagged. Where'd we go? Oh, how did I get there? Well, that's weird. That's the one I was working on before. Where's my features at you? There we go. That are tagged here under category. And so what that's saying is that this tool, this product, falls into these categories. So that's why the GitLab Ultimate one is like, here's everything we have, right? And you see most others, like we don't even really use these guys anymore. But GitHub, for example, falls into quite a few categories. I actually just had to update that this past the past few days with the changes.
So when you do that, it sort of automatically populates that tools landscape.
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
What
so
it does, it turns keys off. Right?
For the most part, yeah. So that's why anything shows up in a given column, right? That's why GitHub isn't so many. The only caveat is these first 3 rows are special.
Correct.
Where there's some like kind of extra definition. Like we had one that said, put it in all of these, but don't put it in this one, this one, this one, and this one. So we kind of did like the inverted
exception. Yeah.
So when I added it, it didn't show up. It took me a while to figure out like, why the hell is it not showing up? Right. So, but most of them, pretty much everything below this line, whatever you put it in, it decodes that category equals this stage, and then it puts it there. So I would say all automated, but at this point we're pretty deep in. So, but yeah, like Trello is going to show under issue tracking and Kanban boards, so that's all planning. So what I would expect looking at this is Trello is only under planning, right? Trello, right, etc. So that's the first part. Yeah. I guess sometimes we separate them by spaces, sometimes we don't, apparently. But it's the indenting that matters. So, okay, so that's that. So now, if we look
and when it comes under multiple categories, you just like separate it by a comma or something, or like what do we do here? Just put entries underneath. Sorry, I got it. Yeah.
Yep. Now the
so wait, there is a level above the category, right? I mean, what you showed me in the tools landscape didn't have DevOps score or cycle analytics. It had a higher level, plan the stage, right? Plan,
so those all,
there's another mapping that maintains like that, I suppose.
Rather than saying it's in this stage, like you'll notice we don't say what stage anything goes into. We say what categories it's in, and then the code that puts the site together figures out, okay, if it's in this category, it's in this stage. And so
stage, correct. So there is a mapping for category to stage.
There is a mapping, and that actually is the categories file, I believe. This should tell you the stage right there.
Stage, correct. Okay, so there is a hierarchy. There's stage and then categories.
Yeah, and that hierarchy is defined on this page right here. That's why I showed you this page. So this is actually a super useful page because it shows how our PM and engineering team break down the work that they do, right? Verify has continuous integration group, and that group has the continuous integration like category, and this is what level we think it's at. And here's documentation, the vision. These are like thorough pages mostly about the research that they've done and how they're thinking about it. And then this, which I need to add to, but right, who's the product manager for this group? You know, who's the product marketing manager? You know, all of this stuff. I need to add TMM here, but etc. for everything we do. So this is a pretty key page as far as understanding like who to go to for what, etc. And then it's got information that may or may not be used by the comparison page, right? Because these are. Oops, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. These are the categories, the features. So right now we're not looking at features. Right now, keep in mind, remember we're looking at the tools, right? Each product. And there's information in here that may not be used by the comparison page. You don't need to put them in. I'm trying to find one here. Because these are used for other things as well, like there's ROI and things like that. You know, I take that back. That's in the features. That's not in the competitors. The competitors have a couple of things you need to put in, and like one thing to just know about it. CodeStar is an example. So CodeStar is a product. Here's the official name. This is what shows up in like the tooltip and like on the top of the page and stuff, right? This is just how we reference it. This is a pointer to the logo, right? And you'll notice we try and put them all under /images, DevOps tools, and then just the logos. So if you look under here, right, we get rid of the data thing, and we go to. So if it says /, that's source.
Root.
Yeah, so it's the source root basically. So it means under source.
Okay, got it. Source
all
is root.
Is metadata that don't show up. It's outside of the website.
Sure. Okay.
But all of these are like shared files that anyone looking at the website can get access to in some way or another. So images, right? So source images, and then here there's like the organization is like every release and blah blah blah. Eventually, you get down to the DevOps tools, and then this is just we just dump all the logos in here.
Logos in there. Okay.
And there's actually other places too where there's logos, but this is the primary one that we like to put stuff. There's some older stuff that ended up, started elsewhere. Like I think we actually got it pretty well cleaned up here at this point. Yeah, so that's really, see there's images, logos. So there's not been always consistency. Like it's probably a worthwhile thing at some point to like go get this,
consolidate it,
move it to here, and then fix the pointer here, right? The problem is you'd have to go check and see like, okay, where else is this referenced? Because somebody else might have referenced it from somewhere else. Right? One of the nice things about this product is you can do you can't see this because it's outside of the window share, but you could do a find across project. I think it might actually be this one. You can't see. No, it's not. Find in project. So I could do like a find in project, and then I put that in, and it'll look. And I say find all. It'll look across the entire everything and tell me how many places that shows up. Right. It's kind of IDE-ish kind of behavior, right? This tells me it's only showing
file search or code search. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a pretty easy change to make because it's only in here, but. One of the behaviors just in general that is discouraged is like this is scope creep, right? I just found an easy change I could make. I could like go ahead and move, I could go ahead and move the logo and change the location and then keep going with like the addition of SEML. But what we don't want to do is put a bunch of unrelated changes together just because we happen to be in there, because it makes it harder to track like, oh, if we have to back out.
What did we do?
So if you were going to make this change, I would do it as a separate MR, basically. Right? Doesn't always end up that way, but best practice.
That's just that's a goal.
Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so something like okay, so you'll see two different types. Let's go to this one, right? We talked about the main tag, the name, the logo. Now there's the categories. We talked about that. Now there's the summary. Now summary is one way to do it. This is the kind of more legacy way we used to have it, where you basically just put in a paragraph or two about that. Now what you're doing here is you're formatting inside of the YAML file. So that's why we've got this weird, like, type this paragraph in kind of thing. What this results in is you get, well, that's Gidia.
Like a tooltip summary or something like that, or
but what was the stage? Oh, I don't know. Source code management. Okay, I should know that. So that's going to show up under create. It's one of these. There it is. So what that creates is this kind of a setup where you've got this. It pulls from the name, and then it basically puts that paragraph here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it starts listing the features out based on all the data under in the features.yaml file.
Okay.
Right? Here's where the logo shows up. And there could be like, hundreds or tens of lines of this.
Uh-huh.
But the key is, this is what you get. That's one paragraph. Right?
Yeah.
And that is
there is another place where you had like the summary as a big bold, like in some other pages.
Yes, so that's where we're going to go next. So we start with, so this is where we started. The notion was then, hey, we want to put more information than that. There's like a default set would be nice to have, formatted, etc. So what we added was the option, instead of putting a summary, to put an include file. Okay. And that include file, we have a format for where that goes, but then that basically gives you all of it's a markdown page that's going to end up in place of that paragraph instead.
Got it. Okay.
So this is, right, you see that this looks the same, except it's include instead of summary.
Right.
Include file, so let's go ahead and look at that for, this is a bad example. Let's not look at it for that.
It's like,
it's just, yeah. Oh, this is Asana. This is okay.
Why do you think? Yeah, this is like.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was thinking GitLab issue boards. Like,
okay.
Yeah, Asana. Great. So we'll look at Asana. So we go to DevOps tools.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that this is now doesn't have a slash, right? So this is relative to where we are, or relative to. No, that doesn't make sense. This is going to be relative off of one features. From where the page is defined. I'm tripping up here. Right, not here. This is under images. So this is going to be relative to the root, sorry. Impact. So under source, there is a DevOps tools here.
Mm-hmm.
So that could have a slash. And then under that is each of these ones. Now they're not all here because we don't have include files for everything. Because some of them are the old way where there's just
some of them you just use the summary directly and that's that.
And some of it sometimes it's just like, hey, we want to throw something up quickly. You could just put a quick summary in there instead of setting up a whole separate page and all of that. Try not to do that because then we just end up with a bunch of these older style ones. But
correct.
But if we
go the recommendation is to use the sort of the Markdown file, right?
Absolutely, yes. So you create a directory for it, and then actually don't need that, and then you create an index.html. Now under miscellaneous, and this is all, by the way, this is documented. I'll show you where that is in a minute. But there's the tool template MD. So that's basically this, right? It's an empty template that says, hey, you should have a summary, et cetera, et cetera. You may not have all this stuff, et cetera. We were working on defining what is the minimal set here. I don't know what happened with that. You have to check with on that. But yeah, so what you do is you could copy this or make a duplicate of this or copy it into your directory. And then we'll do this for Semla in just a minute. And then you fill it out, basically. And whatever information you put here, and there's where we'll stop here, and then we'll do the one we want. So this is Asana. So I'm going to go back and show you what that looks like instead of this, which is under planning, I believe. There. And so that's what gives you this and all of this, basically, right? And this is a good example. This is kind of a minimal set of stuff that we want to have, right? It's not just a summary. It's got a summary. Okay, this is more than minimal. You don't need to have weaknesses, but at least resources that points to their web page and the wiki page if one exists, right? And then it goes and does all the features automatically. All the rest of this is generated automatically. So now you know where this comes from.
Correct.
So we just looked at. If we look at the features a little bit further, so now you've created the product itself, right? Asana in this case. So now it's a viable thing that's going to show up in the board here, but it could show up and be totally blank. How do you add the features, right? For that, there's a different section in this incredibly huge file. If you go all the way past there we go. Go all the way past the section that has all the competitors, which again, yeah, we should separate them out, but we haven't yet. Oh, I'm not even done yet.
Yeah, it's like, is it alphabetical? I don't know. It's just in the order in which we added it, right?
There we go. Features. So you could actually do a search down.
Search for features. Okay, got it.
And yeah, sadly, this is not in alphabetical order. Okay, it's just randomized. It's fine. But what happens is these list out within the stages in the order that they're in that file. Okay. So you wonder how this happened, like this order happens.
Oh, okay.
I don't think that's planned. That's just kind of how it happens.
It just takes this order and then puts it in the same order inside that features, inside that stage, basically. Okay.
Yeah. So like originally the first plan was when we wanted to put all these above together was to just reorganize them so that these are always on the top of each stage. Right. I think that is actually what they did, but yeah, it's just what it is. Again, keep in mind we're talking about how it is after its evolution, not how it necessarily should be, right? It's up to you to decide, like, okay, how do we improve? Great, take notes while I'm going through this. You're like, oh, this is lame. Let's fix this, right? Take notes. That's great. There's plenty of space for improvement here. So, shrink this a little bit so we have more. Okay, so there's two main lists in this features.yaml file. The first one is that one we looked at, which are the Devops tools, which are competitors or comparison, whatever, products. And then the second main list is the features list. Now this is where we list every feature that we have any comparisons about. The way it works is you have dash title and then a feature name. So this one is free CI/CD with shared or personal runners, right? Yeah, there's a lot of features in here that you could say
maybe a little too low level or what have you. Yeah.
Community support, right? Like too little. One's too low level, one's too
high level. Yeah,
is not even like a feature, right? That's just a thing. You know, built-in CI/CD. Okay, we're getting better, but what you'll find is the majority, if not all, of these features are outside or inside out, right? They are, what does GitLab have? Now we're going to put that in the thing and then mark everyone else.
Compare it against.
Not, right? And really, we should be rewriting all of these to, like you can see, right? GitLab has X, right? GitLab community, GitLab allows you to, right? So these are not as good as they should be, right?
Not as exhaustive, perhaps.
These should be defined as like availability. Okay, well, these should be designed, whatever it is, as described in a generic way, right? And this is actually what makes doing the feature thing so difficult. What you experience with the security thing is how it should be. There's a defined set of capabilities across the category, right? And then we compare all of them to that. This didn't start like that. This started as, honestly, we're not the only ones that edit this file. PM does. When they add new capabilities, they drop one of these in. They won't have like who has what. They just have, GitLab has this, right?
Portions of it, yeah.
But so let's find a decent like the most comprehensive import feature set. That's a feature we like tell people, we put a check mark next to us and X next to others, possibly. Needs to be fixed better. Okay, so someone did go through and finally at least organize these by like stages, which is nice. I'm trying to find one that's a good example here. I mean, they're all examples, but yeah, we'll just pick whatever, threaded discussion. Sure. So title of this feature is threaded discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You could say that's too high, too low, right level, whatever. The description, actually this one's pretty generic, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a link and a link description. Now where this shows up is, let's see if I could do it this way. There we go. Let's see. So also now I need to know one that has it. Redmine or Jira. Jira is pretty safe. Jira. So this is all the stuff that shows up. That's special. Below all of that, right? This is the file that we looked at.
Mm-hmm.
This is all the stuff that shows up below the features line.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, we're missing here. It should have. Oh, it does comparison.
Resources. Right? Yeah.
Yep. And so if we look at, if we look for, what was it I was looking at? Crap. Oops. Threaded discussions. I'll just search for it here. What? How is that not showing up? Oh, okay. Damn it. I was looking at the wrong thing.
Threaded or threaded?
Sorry, no, that's my bad. I saw it's on Jira, but that's because I was, okay. We'll look at GitLab flavored Markdown. Okay, so let's see. GitLab flavored. So you see again, right? Inside out. GitLab flavored Markdown. Right. Okay, well, that's our version of it. It's just Markdown or Git flavored Markdown. But we've made this kind of unique to us. So actually, technically, we should not be able to say Git.
Put an X over there, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For that, yeah. So it's kind of cheating. But this should give you a sense of, okay, so we're looking at this. I'm going to put that at the top. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so GitLab flavored Markdown, the title shows up there, right? The description is what comes up down here.
Mm-hmm.
Link description is this piece here. And then the link is where it takes you. Now this should always be the thing, right? This, one of the improvements I would make for this is that we could link to something for the competitor too, not just for us.
Correct.
But as it is now, these are always links to learn more about how GitLab does it, or learn where the issue is for GitLab to make the admins, right? So if we have it, and you can just go through and you can see kind of different, like, learn more about it, takes you to the docs, right? Read the documentation, takes you to the docs, obviously. If it's something we don't have, right? We point you to either the epic or the issue for like working to add it, basically. And here's where it gets kind of messy, and then this starts taking longer and scope creeping. If you add a feature that we don't have and there's no issue for it, technically, we should add the issue and then point to it. At least then a discussion can happen around it. Ideally, that's the idea. Okay, good. That's pretty much what's here. The categories we already talked about. This also says, okay, what category would this capability fall under? I forgot how that shows up, actually. I think that shows up. Oh, I know where that shows up. That shows up elsewhere on the features page. Is that worth going to right now? Sure. So if you go to that's what it did. Let's play this. Okay, I'll just do this. We have these pages that list out our features like ad nauseum.
That one.
Oh, this isn't even the one. Choose. This is a nice list actually that tells you like all of our features, like what group do they fall?
Which one? Yeah.
All right. But we've also this one.
So the bronze, silver, gold is sort of the starter, enterprise.
Yeah. So starter is bronze, premium is silver,
premium and enterprise,
ultimate is
ultimate, yeah.
and then free and core, I think it's called now. Darn, that did not take me where I wanted to. There's a list of like all the features, or at least in a breakdown. I think how they come up is they've moved things around a bit here. I might go to like this page and say, show me the. That's the other thing about this is it's constantly changing. Or at least enough that I don't always keep track of where everything is. Right. So if you look at, okay, so here you go. So like, this is the overall breakdown, the entire life cycle. What do we mean, right? And so you have like manage stage, plan stage, and we need to change all this to use case based, but right now this is what it is. So if I go to like plan stage and I say learn more, it'll show me here are all the features under the plan stage, right? Plan stage is this is what we mean. Here's categories. So this is the, oh, not the features. So these are the categories, one level up. Kanban boards, great. What are the features under Kanban boards? Learn more. And then that takes you to here, and that has this, and this breaks down like all the detailed low-level features, right?
Okay.
Where does this information come from? This file.
From that, yes, no.
Right, and that's
GitLab
why
core.
that's why that's there. So okay, so yes, and this, right, which says, okay, do we have it or not? And actually, you're right. This grid here that shows you like core, starter, etc., is based off of this information. Okay. So what I do when I add a new feature is I copy and paste this from another one, and then just make sure that we have it and it's true across all of them, etc. And there is sometimes like things
but the near future should really tie back to the big picture thing, right? Just like the stage and the category and everything, and PM also needs to be tied in, or is it PM driving the
It's not within the single file, right? It's just across multiple, which is kind of a pain, I know. But yeah, so ideally, yes, this should have like what's the stage, what's the category, what's the it doesn't. But yeah, so this will automatically generate this, which also does, if you'll recall, show up here, right?
Correct.
So like if we look at issue weights, we'll see that for issue weights, right? GitLab core is false, and starter is true, and premium is true, and ultimate is true, right? And so you only define it for core, starter, premium, and ultimate, which are the on-prem ones, and then it'll extrapolate that and copy that basically for because they're the same. So, oh shoot, where were we? I didn't mark my spot. We're under. Oh, now there we go. Yeah. Okay. Oh shoot, that's not it. There we go. Okay. But here we're back on that one that we're looking at. And then here's where you add the competitors.
Oh, the same place. Okay, got it.
Is
Jira, Redmine, whatnot.
GitHub, true or false. Jira, true or false. Redmine, true or false. Now there is one other setting. And there's a couple ways to do it. So there's a setting called partially. So you can do true, false, or partially. Partially gives you the yellow.
Got it. Okay.
Now the problem is, what does that mean?
There's no context in addition to that.
No context at all. Just partially, right? So I added fairly recently. I don't like how it's in here, but engineering did it this way, and I can't. I haven't really focused on changing it. Let's see. I forgot what it's called. Let's look at a few partials. That's probably what will tell us. it's like notes or something. Yeah. Oh, that's embarrassing. Okay, well now I'm going to go look at what I probably should have showed you to begin with, which is where all this is defined. So if you go to the README, so also in the repository, right? This is the main web repository.
Mm-hmm.
In all the repositories, there's a README that if you
Mm-hmm.
create one, and that usually has a lot of useful information. In the web repository, on the very front page is the README for how to make changes to the website, including how to add comparison stuff, I think. Comparison. How to update comparison pages. That takes you to here, which has a big long list. And we do it for the DevOps tools, creating comparison pages. I think, wait, what did I just do? Here we go. So this is now the handbook page for how to create a comparison page. This is everything I'm just telling you, basically. I could just and the reason I'm bringing you here is because this is where we have the definition of there's an include file of doing, here we go, true, false, or partially. And then additionally, because partially is not very helpful, I'm going to be embarrassed. We're videoing this. I'm embarrassed if this isn't actually documented. It is documented. I don't know what happened to it. What does partially mean? There we go. And so actually you can do this for more than just partially, but here's the format of the information you put under there, right? This is all the stuff we've been talking about, title, description, etc. Tier, right, for us, GitLab.com, tool name. So under tool name, you can put true, false, or partially, or you can leave it blank. Now, again, there's a better way to do this. It needs to be changed, but it's not a high priority. Blank means we're going to give you more information, right?
Got it.
So under that is it valid, true, false, or partially? And then what are the details? So this allows you to put in details. Why it was done this way, I don't know. But let's look at that. So that's what I was looking for. There we go. So here's an example. Under full binary repository for under GitLab Ultimate, and actually, yeah, so just under GitLab Ultimate, we're adding more information. So instead of saying true, false, or partially, I'm saying, okay, this, yes, and here's some details. We support Maven and NPM. And actually, we need to change this because now we support more than that, I think. So another example, again, under GitLab Ultimate, supports 11 languages. So this is for particularly under this feature of static application security testing. I said, well, for GitLab Ultimate, we support it. It's true, but it supports 11 languages. The reason we put that is because Synopsys, valid, true, supports 25 languages, right? So where that shows up is if we now go look at the Synopsys thing, comparison, and then we look at language, it happens to be the top one, static application security testing, right? We get a green check mark, but we have a little bit of context, right? So you can do that with partially or even no or whatever. I've never done it with no, but that's kind of what we've inserted as far as being able to add more info for now. Again, I think that could be way more improved, but yeah, it has to be done across either backwards compatible or across everything. At the very least, I would say, why have valid, true? Why not just leave it true, false, etc., and have a second line that says details if you want to add details?
Correct.
Just the way our web team did it at the time, didn't have time to fight it. So, but that's that. That's pretty much everything about how to add comparison stuff. Yeah, and now it's 2:16. So let's do the basics for Semlay to get it at least started.
Okay.
Can you go a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will switch gears here. We'll need this. So I'll tell you what, I'll run through it this time, and then you'll have that on video, and then you can do the next one.
Sure.
Because we actually have to do Launch Darkly next.
Correct.
Okay.
I was looking at those guys over the weekend or maybe Friday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but it was good. Yeah. I spent some time on Spinnaker too.
Oh, good. Yeah,
I
need to make some. So I need to figure out what edit I need to make there. So master is where we're at right now. We generally don't want to edit in master, and that this tracks whatever I do here. Remember, I launched it. I was in branch master, which is why I did that. I'm going to create a new branch, which you can do from here or you can do from here. We'll just do that. Say new branch. I title them with, I always start them with my initials because it's easier to find my branches among like thousands that are created. I used to give them a name describing what I'm doing, but I'm finding that's kind of a pain to figure out each time and not that useful. So what I'm trying to do now, because I can always go into the branch and see what I'm doing, right, is basically date it. I put 0-1 because I might make more than one change in a day. And I put it up front because that's what shows in the, but then I just do date format, which kind of sucks, but whatever it is.
30th today.
Jeez. All right. So you can figure out whatever you want to do there. I've been trying this out the last like week. I don't know. It's working okay so far, but okay. So I've created that branch, and that means that what I'm looking at is now in that branch. And if I look at git branch, it's now created that branch and moved me to it, right? Now keep in mind, this exists only on my laptop.
When you say git branch, how did it go from master to that? Why did it go to the latest
because
one?
when you create a branch, it automatically checks it out and puts you in it. And so the Atom tool, since it understands Git, when I created a Git branch, what it basically ran was it ran Git checkout -b. Here, I'll just go ahead and make a second branch so you can kind of see. You can always delete it, or I can always delete it, right? So here's a branch 2, right? And basically I did this and then it put me in it. So like switch to branch. So if I do git branch now I'm in the new one I just created, right? 02.
And what did you do to proactively switch to a particular branch over there in the command line? You just go.
If you want to actually switch to one, you do git
branch
checkout and then the branch name. So I'm going to go back to this branch.
Okay.
And that'll put them back there. And what you'll see is this automatically follows for you. Atom automatically will adjust because that's why I launched it from
the command line.
So it's looking at the .git directory for this
you
project.
Can do either.
It knows
work in either mode and it'll sync up.
Yeah, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of, since I'm not going to use it, this branch. I'm no longer on it, so I can do that. So now if I do git branch, which just shows you where you're at and what you have. Actually, excuse me, I'm gonna use a second to clean up here because I've also already pushed that. Now the problem with making them here locally first and then pushing them up is that there's no connection. So like when you run the pipeline on GitLab.com in Central, and it finishes, and you can set it to delete the branch automatically. It'll delete the branch on GitLab.com, but my local setup doesn't know that, so it won't delete my local branch version. So you kind of have to clean up yourself. So right now this branch is sitting here. It's only connected. It's only here. It's not online yet. That's fine. I'm just making local changes. I'm in the right branch, right? 0-1. And we can just start doing our edits and saving. So let's start by adding our competitor. I don't think these are in any order. They're just kind of randomly in here. which is great. I kind of try and group them or put them alphabetically or something. I kind of try and group them by like their sets of things, but it's never a high enough priority to go in and start moving things around.
It's all right. It's
the risk is so
limited
high.
value once you're using search anyway. It's just so big.
Exactly. It's
even within a section is so big that you're going to go search.
So we're adding Semele, which is the security stuff. Here's Synopsys security stuff, Sneak, Barricode, right? So it wouldn't be a bad idea to stick it in here. Check marks, SonarQube, Sonatype, Nexus, JFrog. So now we're starting to get into other stuff, right?
Yeah. Docker and whatnot. Yeah.
So what we could do is just go stick it at the end of Redmine. They're totally it's just a mess, and part of that is because we didn't have definitions on where to put stuff, and like multiple people are adding these, right? Logo category summary. Except we're going to do an include file, so we'll go ahead and find one of these that has an include file, because I'd like to cheat like that. Except it's not really saving me any time right now because I can't find one. Crikey.
Right there. Crucible.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll just do Redmine. Crucible would have worked too. We'll slam back down to the bottom here before features. Go ahead and so lined up with this, right? It means it's in the same list. Ooh, except that didn't work. No, darn it. There we go. Okay.
What do you do? Shift tab or something, or like?
In this tool, it's a command back bracket.
Command back bracket. Okay.
Or left bracket, whatever. So yeah, it doesn't like that. So we're going to call this Semele. Is that right? Semele. I'll give it a proper name. And then images, we will call it. Oops, not that. So this is basically where we need to put the logo.
Sure.
Right? And then we will make that. And that's that. And then this is probably several things. We'll do that in a second. So I'd like to go do this stuff before we get too far away. So we need a DevOps tool, Semele, blah, blah, blah. We happen to be there, DevOps tools. I'm going to create a new folder, Semele. That is here. That's got nothing. We're going to go to miscellaneous. I'll take the template. I don't remember if it lets me do it in, I don't get to say where it goes.
You can copy or?
Oh, I do, there we go. So tool template, we're going to call it index.html. We'll change that to Semele and have it do it. So that's going to create it here. Here that is. And then all of this is just a comment to say, here's what you should do. This is that setup stuff, and here's the first one. You got to at least have that. Crikey. Right. So here's where we need to go get some info. Hopefully, if we're lucky, we can just do this.
You can just get that summary from there, right there.
Or about.
Code analysis platform helps.
The other place sometimes helpful is Wikipedia, because it's a third party kind of. It's not like we're awesome and this and that. Right? So I usually check those three, kind of get a sense, like see who has the best, like most reasonable. They have two products, so that makes it a little more difficult. Semele in general, yeah. So this would be. Okay. So let's try the about. See, this is like Semele believes in.
Okay, go back to that Google search where you did. I think the first back here.
Yeah, I clicked on it. So just... this one here.
Yeah, see, Semele's code analysis platform helps teams find, like right up there, the very first link. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I don't know what that is, what else is in there, but
yeah, that's interesting because that's this page. So where is that info?
That's something they put in the
For
web
certain.
page thing, yeah, for Google to understand and use,
Exactly.
right? So,
but right, that dot dot dot, but that's all I can get of it, right? Yeah. It's a good start, not a finish though.
yeah.
And then if you look at the Wikipedia page, it's not quite the kind of stuff we want to put there. This is not bad, but I don't care where it is. Yeah, something's pretty cool. I'm kind of sad that we didn't buy them first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easier when they just have something. This is all marketing-y stuff. Try not to put marketing-y stuff. Actually, what is this? There was oh no, it's all about they have headquarters in. I don't care.
I mean, the first line, that's pretty much a good start, right? Find 0 days and automate variant analysis, sort of the 0 days one.
I like this too. I just wish we had the rest
share
of the
some more,
sentence.
right? Yeah. What we could do is you see the code in the page and see what.
Yeah, that's exactly. I was just about, that's where I was heading. I was like, oh, I know what we could do. We can go inspect and look for that code. Let's see. Body. Probably in the body. Just find it. Although I'm not sure the best way to do that. Could be well hidden anywhere in here. We probably do want to. Have any idea?
You go up to that and go right click, develop tools, view source. Sometimes it shows up there.
Oh, just straight up view source.
View source, yeah, and then you command F for what the look. Where's that developer tools? You don't have that, or
do I not have developer tools? I have developer tools. Inspect all sorts of crap. I don't have developer tools.
Okay, let me see.
We do not have developer tools. There we go. Here. But this is I'm looking at developer tools right now, right? This is I just closed it, but I mean inspect basically takes you to develop. Oh, there it was. View page source.
Yeah.
There it is. Good call. I just search for.
That's it. There's the dot was there's nothing else. So basically, they added some dots over there.
Damn them! They tricked us. Nothing more there. Oh well, this is secure. Oh no, this is the same thing.
Same thing, yeah.
Fully on them. Okay. Well,
but it's okay. Let's start. Let's kind of
So let's move on. There, something. Now, if you look at, it's a little controversial. This is not totally settled, but the notion originally was these are unbiased pages, so that means that the definitions that we put in the summary is unbiased. It's just this is what it is. The way I was told at one point from Sid, which I kind of helped, I kind of try and remember to help me get it, is this should be like when you're talking to a friend and they say, hey, what do you know about SEML? And you go, well, this is what I know, right? So it's not like a, us versus them or us describing them through our eyes. Now, the reality is that we end up always putting in something.
Couldn't resist. It's okay.
So it's not really that. But we try and have it be impartial, not like SEML has such and such, but it's not really that good, right? We try not to do opinionated stuff like that. But I think having a following paragraph that counteracts that says like, yeah, they have that, but we've got this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, right? So I'll leave that. We'll keep it simple for now. And then what I would do is say, for example, we won't do strengths and weaknesses, who buys, comments or index. We have nothing right now. Well, actually we do. So maybe that's where we'll put your stuff, right? And I try and do it in the same order every time, which is why I listed this out. So resources I try and always have, because that's just websites, like do that, right? Give it a channel website, right? And then, oh shoot, I had it and deleted it. Ha, funny.
It'll change soon once they get into GitHub and whatnot.
Yeah.
Be something GitHub / whatever.
Yeah, I think this is
saml.com.
Like, we're in transition, so for now, I think let's just. They still do have a product, and they still are kind of a. Yeah. That's probably a note we want to put in there, though, right? And then I also just have a third-party point of view. I also usually put the Wikipedia page. This is funny. I should have just kept all those pages up.
Yeah, just
my Google search up. Wikipedia. So at least there's something of potential value, question mark. I would put in as a summary for sure on, I don't even know what the date was, holy cow. When did they announce that? September 18th. 2019. And then maybe put the link to that. Oh, this actually doesn't talk about an acquisition, does it? Is joining? I guess it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's true. That could be interpreted as they're partnering, right? But it wasn't.
But this is September 18th, yeah.
It was an acquisition, wasn't it?
Milestone in the 30 year. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a.
Maybe we should just go with a press release or something like that a little bit more. You know, I just loathe to kind of
point to
turning them on to some site that'll give all their marketing spiel on how great they are, and then kind of come back and sort of, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's just a very simple matter of fact, here's the announcement.
Yeah. We'll find the press release. I think they'd have a pointer to that.
Let's see here.
Let's do a search.
I'm going to do that.
Press.
There's a TechCrunch article.
Not that they show up as press release, but
there's a TechCrunch article.
Sure, point to that instead. It's fine. Oh, thanks. I think we got the same one, yeah?
Okay.
Okay, so, and then resource, that's resources. Facts, we don't have. Integrations, no. Pricing, we'll worry about it later. And then I usually like to end with this, knowing that we are about to add features. So it'll say comparison, and then we'll have features as a sub. So we'll save that. Okay, so let's unwind. So we've added that file.
You need to put the logo there, like the
right.
logo
So
file.
we'll reference. Yes, good catch. So that's the file. We need to add the logo. That's the fun part. Means we need to go find the SEML logo that we can copy.
I'm gonna look for that second.
Easiest way is to go to do a Google and then say images. Actually, say icon or logo. Haha! Wow. And say images. We should get plenty of those. Oh boy.
Which is the latest
logo, one? Really? Keeping in mind that this is going to be what appears in that list, so the more square it is, the nicer it will be. But yeah, there's not a whole lot here. What the heck? Let's try this.
How about this?
This one, I guess.
There's a LinkedIn one. There's a LinkedIn.com SEML logo here.
Where?
Oh,
you want me to go to?
No, just let me do this.
Oh wow, that's boring. I guess that's what it is.
Which one?
This is that what you're talking about?
The one I just said.
I don't know. I didn't see.
Seems like the most square logo, but
yeah, that's pretty damn boring. God. Oof. Lucky they got the Octocat now. Sheesh. I'm gonna take some creative license here because that sucks. I don't know where this is from SEML.com. Why don't I use this one?
It's some sort of a.
It's a shield.
It's for a different. It says open security and security research, right? So it's more for their researchers group. So.
Fine. We do this boring logo.
Just send it to you on Slack. Should be able to download it maybe.
Yeah, but I want to try and copy the picture. Copy it. Okay, sure. So we're going to copy that image. I know. I'll save image as. So here's the fun part.
You go to that directory and then just stick it in there.
Yeah.
Go to Git and then.
What we'll do is this, and we'll call it SEML logo. Is that what I called it? What did I call it? Semlay dash logo. I should probably say that correctly. Semlay, I did. Okay. So I'll save that in downloads. And the reason I'm doing that is because I could do this. Show finder. Why did that not work? Okay. And then this. And find the place it's got to go. Which was. I know this is not efficient at all.
Images, right?
Horribly.
Images, yeah.
Devops tools. And then we're gonna take this and drag it over here. Oh, that did not work. And drop it in there. And hopefully that will upload properly. They don't always. And we will know if I click on that, it should show me the logo, not the no, it won't. But a double click brings it up. Good. So that's in the right place. Sorry. Oh, that's interesting. I can't get rid of that now. Hold on. There's kind of a bug. Okay, so that's done. So we have the logo in there. It's titled correctly. Images, Devops tools. Sample-logo.png. Cool. Now for categories, I think what we'll actually do is take a look at your thing here. I'm going to shrink this so I can see them both at the same time. I'll close that. Darn it. Where did that go? Are you bored yet?
No. I'm making the connections here, so that's good just to see it, and also knowing that there is a recording of it, which is very super useful. If you have questions, I can go back to that.
Okay, here we go. So, categories. Static application security testing. So what's nice here is this automatic will go look and see.
Nice.
So
that's because you indent off of category, it basically create a drop-down list.
It's because, so it's not, I think it's searching through what other dash static whatever I have in this file.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it's referencing from.
Okay.
But I do know that categories.
You don't have to figure out what's the exact name and whatnot, right? So
right. Although in fairness, I'm recognizing them from before. This used to be just a single bulleted list, which was really nice, but I'm recognizing them from before, so I'm knowing that, okay, that's the right one. So I'm kind of cheating a little bit here, but dependency scanning. And then it doesn't have a bunch of these other ones, right? So I wouldn't put yes, I wouldn't put it down for that. Cool. So that's it. And then we need to now, that's it, I think. Right, because we have the include file, so we're good. So we're going to save that. And this we don't need because this was the template. Oh, no, that was the one I wanted.
You just do a Command S to save it? Just
yeah, Command S, sorry. Yeah, you couldn't see that, huh? And so what's cool here is, since we're doing this locally, now we have, look up John's, he's got I should close some of these, huh? Start running out of GitLab handbook 102. I think that we'll find it. Working at local speed. So this is a workshop that John put together for the last company summit contribute. But this is also just on our handbook now. And it's actually really useful for how to set up so that you can do what we're doing running locally, right? Which allows you to rapid validation. Now, he's got it set up so that he's running his stuff in a container that he launches, a Docker container. I don't. I just have mine installed locally. I just did that and it works and I'm fine with it. This hasn't been working lately, but yeah, I need to debug this, but you can basically go to your terminal, go to your directory and say bundle exec. His command is docker run middleman. But so what middleman is it's the site generator.
Okay.
That goes through and parses all these files, builds them, and creates the site.
Okay.
So this will take a minute to load. I hope I don't actually have this running still somewhere else. I might. I just realized that. I don't. Good. I was using it this weekend, so looks like I stopped it. So what it'll do is it'll kick out a local URL that I can go to basically access to the site that's served off of my computer, which is nice because I can make changes and then reload the site pretty quickly, relatively quickly. I don't have to go through a whole pipeline build basically, which is what I'm trying to avoid. Kind of a sad statement there, but our pipeline takes longer to run because it's doing a whole bunch of different checks, right, that I'm not doing here. But this gives me enough information to see if my changes like came across okay, basically.
Mm-hmm.
This is still this is our example. So so it won't show up here, but it will show up.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, come on. No. Show. This doesn't go any faster if it's wrapped in a Docker container. Maybe while we're waiting for that, we'll go put in a feature or two. So I was stopping to check to see like, okay, did this work so far without blowing stuff up? But we'll let that.
We can wait for it to finish up. I have to head out here in about 5 to 8 minutes, I guess. I'll pick up my kids here from school.
Okay.
So
okay.
But this is done. Seems almost. Oh,
crap! It looked like it blew up. That's not good. Port is in you. Oh, damn it! I do have it running somewhere. Thought I turned it off everywhere. Oh, I see where it's running. No, I don't. Oh, it's in the other tab. That's why. There it is. Dang it. Okay. Shoot! I should have just left it running and used it. Damn it. So, okay, so while that's starting up, you have how long now?
About 6-7 minutes.
Okay, we should at least get to the point where this is running, that I can show you the end result and we'll cut it from there.
Yeah, so I think we'll work on that, yeah.
I'm going to do a find while that's going ahead. I'm going to look for static application. That's going to show up 100 times. What I'm looking for is the actual
feature itself.
Yeah, feature. There it is, security testing, right? So since it says they have that, I'm going to go here, and this is all of the stuff we talked about. Here's the GitLab. Ultimate has it, supports 11 languages. Black Duck doesn't have blah, blah, blah. We're just going to go down to the end of the list here. There's a lot of people that have it or don't have it. And Plutora doesn't have it. That's a good thing we know that. We'll add SEML, and we'll add true. Right? And then that's basically, that's going to give it a green check mark, which I think is right for this, right? Yeah. And then the only other one is dependency scanning. So we'll go find that. Wow. Dependency scan. Okay, cool. So if it's a title, then that's the feature name. So that's good.
Okay.
So we will again zip down to the bottom here, GitLab security. Don't know why that's there. Regardless, we'll just add SEML true.
So what's the, just a recap, what's the difference between the two entries you made there, the two feature categories, and then over here, you're having to add true, because I would assume under SEML, you said this is true, then obviously it'll propagate, but apparently not.
I could put SEML in like a whole bunch of other features and say false, which actually I probably should do, because what we want to do is for container scanning, we want it to show up there. So if it doesn't have something, it won't show up. Like the whole feature won't even show up on the list.
Got it. Okay.
So I want to do like now container scanning there, and then I would put SEML false, and that'll make it show up on that list. Basically, the rule in the code says if GitLab has an entry for it and the competitor has an entry for it, then show it on the list and put true or false. Otherwise, it won't show it at all. So here, so we'll see what that looks like. So we've added 3 now, right? We've added these 3. And now middleman is running, so I can now go get that. It's localhost and look at my local version of this that I'm editing because it doesn't exist anywhere else right now. And that will take a minute to process because it's got to build the site. And in the meantime, we can keep that, I suppose. Interact. Oh, wow, we have biased.
I need to go do another sort of a scan on some of these names, make sure their definition and what we're thinking sort of match. And
that's the hard part, is interpreting what they
what
call it,
they mean,
or their feature versus what we call it. These are pretty high level for the security stuff, right? These are whole categories in themselves. That was because when we did the security stuff, we started there and we're going to break it down. I don't think we ever got to the breakdown part.
There is some more in the Microsoft comparison. It's got more items, generally speaking. So
yeah, that was me adding them that don't necessarily match all the rest of the stuff. So let's see, it's still churning. So what I would also do is I would put like I'll put a star here just to indicate like who I've done these, right? Dynamic.
No.
You need to go. I can just wrap this.
The true or false is really to show in that particular table yes or no, right? For SEML.
Yes, that's correct.
And then when you describe the company SEML, and then underneath that, you just had put static application and dependency scanning at the time, right?
That's for the category. Yeah, not
that is where the logo appears.
Right. That's where the logo.
Which categories or stage the logo should appear based
go up
on
under
that.
The stages.
You're
exactly.
Putting the categories, and then something will pick up the categories. Based on these categories, it appears in these 2 stages and stick the logo.
Right.
Based on that ordering rule that you have there. So okay, got it.
Wow, I'm not finding this anywhere. We must have this in here somewhere. What the heck? Oh, there it is. Huh, I did find it. And then I got for security testing. I'm going to go down to here. Ooh, that's not going to work. Didn't even tell me no. So false. So that is this one. Save that. Let's go ahead and look at this. Is this still? Goodness, what the heck?
Just waiting for. So, does it start a web server? Do you have to do something to start it, or?
No, this is.
Is it? It started basically.
Right?
It's got local server. It started.
Why it's taken so long? I don't know. That is odd. Unless it's finding an error somewhere, that might be it. Like crash and burn. Although you think it would crash and burn. So. Time application. Security testing. What? That's not what it's called. Rast. What is this? This is not right. Who put that in there? It's runtime application self-protection, I think.
That's what was in the.
That's
self-protection.
Self-protection. So this information is incorrect.
Is this for the right one? Like, is there another one for called Rast or?
Yeah, but look, it says Rast right here.
Yeah. Where is the key for this guy? Does this particular feature have a specific key? That the text is not the key, right? The title is not the key. Is that the key, or you think that is the key, basically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, changing it here means it's going to change in
the site, right? In the main.
The whole site, yeah. Wait, it should be the right thing. What the hell? Okay, so here's
Let's click on, let's validate this. If you go up to the secure, right? Or
oh, yeah,
click
sure.
on, say, if I remember right, it says security, which one did we cite? Maybe Veracode or something like that. I picked that guy and I got the list of categories from that,
Okay.
from that vendor, just as an example. So I wonder if it has RAST or RASP out there.
Yeah, I'm sure it's RASP because it's the
Yeah.
official thing. But wow, this computer's like dying here.
Yeah, it's kind of slow.
Let's see. Maybe I can kill some stuff. Need that open. Oh, I guess I could close Xcode. That's probably not helping things. I don't have anything open on that. I don't care about that. Like it's going faster already.
We can pick this up in about 10 minutes or so, or do you want to continue tomorrow? Like, what's your...
I can pick it up in 10.
In 10? Okay. Back.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Should I leave the meeting on? Or you can just come back?
Yeah, why don't we do that and I'll pause the... Okay, so I have to step out, but I'm going to go ahead and just finish changing these. Firewall. And we'll validate it once Mahesh is back. The other thing I want to check, though, is if I look at general stuff, how does that compare? So these are the ones we're trying to do for all of the security things. Dependency scanning, static application, container, dynamic application, interactive, runtime, cognitive, and nice compliance. Good. We got them all. Fantastic. All right, so while you were out, I just finished the last two of these. Basically, same thing you already saw me doing. I did have the recording on, so you can go watch that later if you want.
Thank you.
Here is our the current state of things. Files all saved, and this finally built. So.
Oh, this is it's built. Was there a problem with that thing? You just had something running?
I just had too much crap running. So,
okay.
and so, so what we should see in the secure section is SAML in here, probably last.
Yep.
Is boy, that's a terrible logo. Well, we want to do something.
Too bad for them.
Well, it is, but it's not.
But you need to see the name, right? It's like
exactly.
You can barely see the name.
So you see, like we have. So maybe what we'll do is we'll zoom in on the logo and cut it off.
Yeah.
So at least the name
we'll redo that. We'll figure out something else better. Yeah.
So right now we'll go ahead and pull it up. And what we should have is this with on this page, a short summary. Oh, we were going to fill this in with your other info, and then comparison, and then here's that, and then there's this. Da, 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 da.
Got it.
So not a bad start. Right, this matches because we don't have any of those things. We've got these only in ultimate and gold, which makes sense for us. Yeah, that's automatically set up. So like, you know, people want to comment on it, it'll go to this page, etc. Okay, so not bad. We need to fix the logo. We need to add your comments and anecdotes in here. At least we could put a table in or something.
How would you put a table? Do you know how to put a table in?
Yeah, I can show you that. So
that'll be my homework exercise to kind of add that.
So let's do this for now. Let's see. What's the best way to do this? I'm going to. At
least this you can now push, right? Maybe can you do that? Or
thank you. Yeah, I haven't pushed it. Thank you. Yes. Good. So this is good. Good start. Solid start. So now if you go to here, you see it says there's 3 files changed under Git. Here's those. This makes sense, right? We added some directories and we need to change this file. I'm going to go ahead and stage all of them. We're going to let's see, put in the commit note, add SAML to comparisons page, and we'll commit, and then publish. Now, keeping in mind that this, oops, not this, that this Git repository that we're in does not exist yet upstream, right? But it will in a minute because we're pushing it. Right, so this guy, so 01 for today. So we haven't been there yet. So we're going to pop it. Oh, no, we have. Sorry, take that back. Yeah, right here. So what you could do is if you just go back to like the repository, it'll tell you actually, hey, so-and-so just pushed something, right? You just pushed this, right? So now it exists as a branch here, and I can create a merge request. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll just kind of cheat here. I'm going to assign it to me because I'm going to approve it. I'll say delete branch. Once this is done,
what's the usual process though? So you assign usually.
So good question.
I want to send it.
Yeah. So like right now, for example, you don't have merge into master permissions. I'm guessing. So you would assign this to the person who you want to review it and then merge it. So you could be me or Ashish or anyone in the group that does. The typical best practice is to assign it to the person who is a stakeholder and should be aware of the change and accepting of the change. So So like if I was changing something on the finance page, I would put the assignee as Paul or one of his folks, because I would not want to approve this to go through and become a part of the finance page without them being aware and saying yes. So literally accepting a merge request to change something in the handbook is accepting that change in the company, right, in the company policy. So in this particular case, because it's our pages that we own, right, we're not, like we're the stakeholders. You're going to be the stakeholder for the for this set of pages. So other folks who add stuff would assign it to you to like look and say, yep, it looks good for me. I'm going to go ahead and merge it. So good question. Yeah. But you don't have those right now. So we need to set that up. So I'll go ahead and submit this merge request. It'll go ahead and start the pipeline and build it out. And then there's a long process here of 17, 18, 20 minutes of building everything, the whole website. It's going to create the review app, which we can then go look at to make sure everything looks okay. Basically, it's the equivalent of what
you just did locally.
But I got to validate my changes without 20 minutes of cycle time.
Sure.
And then once that review app, which it'll put right here, looks good, then I can do the merge, and that will put those code changes into master, and then it'll start a new pipeline. So at that point, it's in master, it's done. But then it'll start a new pipeline to then push it out to production. So not until that second pipeline, will it actually show here on about.gitlab.com. And if you're on a deadline and you want to like be able to say like, yeah, it's in there, but it's still kind of building, you can always put a pointer to the review app, right, and say it's or to the MR, usually the MR, and say it's processing. But usually, you wouldn't call it done until it's obviously pushed.
How long does the second pipeline take to run? Like this is like a 20 minutes.
Same length as the
thing.
pipeline. So, I know it's a little painful. But yeah, so we'll let that run. In the meantime, we can go make the additional changes. But here's a kicker to be aware of, right? So I made those changes in this branch, right? And that's the branch that we're currently looking at locally, right? Same thing. But you'll remember I pushed that upstream, and I told it, once you're done building, go ahead and delete that branch, right? So it'll delete the online version. I can keep editing here in local, but then I'll push the same branch and it'll get confused and all that stuff. So better at this point that I create, now I'm doing new work, I should create a new branch. And
got it.
So what I'm going to do here, we're done with this, I'm going to come back to here. I'm not going to delete it from here, but I am going to make sure that I'm in git checkout master. And then I'm going to, it hasn't been pushed back yet, so git pull does nothing for me. I could still git pull to get whatever anyone else has pushed back. Features.yaml gets edited by a lot of people, so there's a likelihood that it's, that it might have gotten touched. So now I've got the latest. I'm going to do a git checkout -b 02 2019 030, right? Now this is basically the equivalent of just creating it in here. You'll see that this is automatically switched already to that new branch, right? So now I'm clear. I can keep working on these files, and it'll be to that new branch. Which means that once I push it, it'll see it as a different branch, etc.
Got it.
So yeah, this is still rolling, so this is going to be a while because it's got to do all of that still. So what we can do here is in this branch, we can go, this is a little bit weird, but this will be the easiest way to do it. I'm going to go to my Git repository, which we're working in. Whoops. Dub. This is actually going kind of off ranch here, but so this is now that same space, right? And I'm going to go to the source file. What was it? Images. And what I'm actually showing you here, Devops. There we go. Is the way that you can actually use your local system tools to make edits to the files that are in the repository. So simul. Oh, shoot. Damn. You know why it's not there? Why?
You put it locally?
Yeah, so I'm looking at the branch that I just created from master, right? And in the current master, that file, the image file, doesn't exist yet, right?
Because because it's not fully pushed in, right? Yeah.
Right. Shoot. Okay, so here's what we'll do instead. Forget everything I said. Don't forget everything I said. I'm going to delete this one because I created it off of a branch that I don't want, or off of the master. Git.
Just cannot delete, so because it's checked out at user.
Oh, whoops. Yeah. I can't delete it because I'm in it right now, right? So so git check out master. So I'm in master now. Now I can delete it. So now if I look at git branch, I just have the one that I was on before and the master. I'm actually going to git check out this guy. Switch to branch. So now I'm back in my branch that I was editing in. This is pushed up to the to local, or I'm sorry, to remote, and it's building that one. But my local one, I'm going to go ahead and do a git check out -p dbg 02 2019 09 30. So the difference here is I started from my previous branch, so it should have made a copy from that, right? Because it's basically it's branching off of my previous branch. So that one, which I meant should be in now, should have that file. If I'm doing this correctly.
Okay.
Or I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I've captured that on video, which is totally possible too. There it is right there. I feel better. Okay. So I have a copy of what I'm pushing up, so we'll resolve that later. But I'm going to go ahead and make an edit to this. I think I could probably actually use preview to do that. I use GIMP usually, but so preview. What we'll do is we'll do. So let me do. There's this weird bug. There we go. Okay. Cool. So I think what we'll do is we'll crop this. And we'll just make their logo, kind of try and keep it squarish, I guess, maybe. We'll just make their logo into that. So that's about right. What we'll say is, I think there's crop. Because that should make it bigger too.
Yep.
So we'll save that in place. And actually, so that's saved on the, so that's all on the file system. So what we should see here, I go back to Adam, is that it, yeah, so you can see that it's changed now, which is good. Right. Not sure I exactly, oops. Oh, I can't do this. I'm not sure I exactly got that even, but so even now, if I do a reload on this site, let's see if that's better. Slower, that's for sure. Okay. Okay, while that's spinning, I'll watch for that to stop. The other thing we wanted to do was we wanted to go back to the one that I accidentally closed, which was this is all images. Source, Devops tools, SAML, probably saying that wrong, huh? So that was this one. And we want to add in your nice set of comments there. So what's cool is, let's see, is there some nice tools that'll actually just convert stuff. There's a way to do those manually, but they're a pain in the butt. So table to Markdown, there's one that I've used that's pretty, yeah, there we go. See, I've used that before. That does a pretty good job, and it's pretty straightforward. So what we'll do, come on. It's still spinning, Jesus. So let's make this the table that we want it to be.
Make sure you add, yeah, this is sort of question mark whether we do this or not, so.
Dead code analysis, basic dead code analysis has to be extended with, what is dead code analysis?
It's like code that's never executed, right? It's like.
We probably need some descriptions on these, yeah? Because some of these are actually features, right? That's a feature we could put in the feature list. And so is dependency analysis.
I think I would take the first 4 rows of this and leave it at that and not go to the other 2. I think the dependency has already been covered in the previous checklist above, so that's sort of more context.
2, 3, 4. What about maintenance? I guess
maintenance,
5.
5, yeah.
Okay, yeah, leave these out. Okay, which is fine. So let's give these some titles, because that's what will drop into the table. This is what coding standards. This be generic.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, interesting.
Let's call it SAML.
Oops, yeah. Let's type it in. Doing that, so I can do this. Copy that. Go here. I don't know if it lets me paste in a table.
Very cool.
Be nice, wouldn't it? Clear table. No.
Is it a command V? See what it does.
It's table data. There we go. Yeah.
What did it do?
See what happens. Huh? Okay.
It's pretty.
It's
pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually got it, right?
Got it, yeah.
Can I make these bold? No. Not that exciting. I can do text aligns, but I guess shift left is okay. Okay, so put tabs between columns. Oh, yeah, right. That's to. No, I don't want to do that. compact mode. No, definitely not. Okay, yeah, so this basically already generated it. So we can copy, we can go back here, and we can drop that in. Woo! And who knows what that'll turn out looking like.
Yeah, no, soon enough.
Let's see. Yes, so we'll save that. And looks like this actually finally stopped spinning. So, okay, so that's a little bit better. Yeah,
Yes, much better, way better. Yeah. You can
okay.
read it.
Oh no, I have to read. Oh, well, we want to regen this anyways because we're going to see how the table came out. God, it is running slow.
So when you refresh it, at that time it goes through the build process, or it just kind of
Not the whole. It should be just for that page, right? Although, like, in fairness, doing this one takes a bit because it's basically processing the whole features YAML file. Correct. Although this, I guess, it kind of has to too because it's got to go through all of this stuff. Let's see what else was there. There was the table. Oh, we're waiting here. You can see it's my system is hurting, which is funny because I don't think I had that much stuff going on. I always love this. Your system's dying and you want to see what's causing it. So what do? You have to launch another app.
Another app which trains you on more. Activity monitor is not, it's easy app too. It takes quite a bit.
You know what's killing the system?
Should we turn off the video? Try turning off video, see what happens.
Yeah, it's probably because I'm sharing and recording. I bet the recording is what's killing it.
The recording is probably taking a long time.
Writing to the local disk. I should have had to do it to the cloud. I'm sure that's probably it.
But actually, even after you finish it, it goes through this big conversion process and whatnot.
Yeah, but then that's right. I mean, if this was writing to the cloud, then it would be network. That's the problem, and that's not a problem for me. But this is like writing to disk, and it's an SSD, so it should be fast. But it's also as it's running the middleman to process it, it's also pulling from the disk as well. Mm-hmm. So I should have done this cloud recording, so it would have just shoved it online and then let their servers process the damn thing. Oops. I remember. Okay. Okay.
But I mean, it's a good start, I guess. For some reason that column symbol is larger.
Yeah.
Just because of the amount of text, it probably tries to keep everything 2 or 3 lines. I don't know what it is, but
I thought there was a way to force the size of the table.
Set size right there. Click on table.
Where?
Click on table, the blue table icon on top.
Oh.
Set size.
That's
just the number of rows and columns. Okay.
Yeah. It might be like this. I don't think you get that much flexibility, honestly.
It kind of makes sense too. It's like so much metadata to carry around. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could actually at least. Let's do it here. Edit it. Oh, I can't edit in place. Let's see. How to.
What did you want to do?
I was going to make it bold at least so it stood, so the title stood out. I can do that here. But... I don't know if it's going to process it.
You're assuming full Markdown syntax here. Yep.
Yeah. I think it's 2 stars, but yeah. Ooh, boy.
I think those dashes. I think Dan, it's just my guess. The length of the dashes is the length of the table.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Let's see what happens. That's random, but we'll just see what happens. And then that's got that. See, it's also padded it out too.
Yeah, that's true.
Shoot. Okay, so what I should do then is instead, I should say, this. Ouch. Copy.
I would say just leave those pads on, the padded things on. Let's just put this out there, see what it does.
Oh, you're killing me. You're gonna make me process it. That's what I'm trying to avoid. Fine.
Okay.
It's like watching paint dry, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean maintenance not supported? Even with patterns written, one may need to.
It's just the excuse me. It's really a deep down, app-oriented sort of what I would call analysis that they do. So I don't know what to put out there. Not
Okay.
applicable, perhaps?
Out of context here, it sounds like we don't support maintenance on.
Yeah, that's true.
Product, right?
I think it's not applicable, right? And it's not just maintenance, it's like maintenance effort, right?
Okay, but still not supported sounds bad for GitLab.
Yeah, we should put not applicable.
Not applicable. So wait, SEML, even with patterns written, one may need to further customize for each application scenario because the standard taxonomy may vary from app to app.
For example, you go in there and say, I want to detect, a certain variant, right? In application X, secret tokens, you may look for secret, as in the variable name, right? Mm-hmm. In another application, you may just use token as the variable name, right? So for each of these applications, you have to understand what are the various possibilities and either regex it or customize it to be very specific to that application, right?
Okay.
So there's a lot more maintenance with this guy than there is, at least
the
challenge for us is we don't do variant analysis, so it doesn't really apply, right? It's
okay,
like,
so we need to change that
text
detail or whatever the text, because maintenance is a very broad term, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means like, can you buy maintenance like support, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this is a particular feature, it sounds like, and your answer is they have it, but it takes customization versus we don't have it, is what I'm hearing.
That is right.
Like what you said, variant. What did you call it?
Variant analysis.
Variant analysis. Okay. So let's go back to the source here. So this should be variant analysis.
It's actually the maintenance of the variant, it's like it's ongoing maintenance, right? That's what it means, right? It's not really about variant analysis. Yeah, you can do it once, but
what's the feature? What's the capability we're talking about?
We're not doing, this is not the capability. This is really, you can call it, another bullet under ease of use. Maybe you put it in there if you don't want. It's not announcing a capability. It's really talking about
the overall, you're saying
maintenance of the software product.
The amount of maintenance that the product requires. But okay, but we need to zero in a little bit more. So maybe it's pattern maintenance or something, right?
Sure.
Because like maintenance is too broad. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't tell them what we mean by so would pattern maintenance make more sense?
Sure. Even with it is a maintenance effort or pattern maintenance effort. I'll change the language here. It just
isn't this in generally this is the configuration of the tool, right?
No, it's actually like it's not configuration of the tool. It's beyond configuration of the tool. It's like for example, people are always writing code, right? So if you did a pattern, it's a static pattern that you've written for the code that exists at that point in time, right?
Okay.
Now, if code keeps changing, if somebody else introduces a new variable, that semantically means the same thing, but they use a different term or a different taxonomy to describe the variable. Now you got to take that thing and put it into this pattern, right? You got to go update your pattern to say, secret tokens now also include this type of a variable pattern, right?
Okay.
So you have to continually kind of keep it updated. So this SAML product works well when you have very strict coding standards, right, in your organization. Then you
Okay.
can write that pattern once and then forget about it because everybody follows the standard. But the reality is not everybody does, right? So,
Excuse me.
so
Okay.
it's a pattern maintenance,
So
yes.
we'll call it pattern
I
maintenance.
think you'll get rid of the first phrase here with patterns returns, like, one may need to customize each app, patterns, right? One may need to further customize patterns, right?
Might need.
Might need, yeah. Because it varies based on the application or the scenario. So a new application comes in, now you don't know what standards they're using, right? The people who wrote this application may use completely different variable standards or naming convention to describe things. You just need to pick those things out, right? In each of those scenarios. It's an interesting app, but man, it's so tight to coding standards. It's almost unbelievable, That's yeah.
So it's not just that the scenarios and the standards and taxonomy can vary from app to app, is that it evolves, right?
Yes, it
Can
keeps changing. It has to keep enriched all the time. Or else you'll miss it, right? You'll apply a pattern to a new application thinking you'll catch all those issues. You won't, because the standards or the way they describe those variables, the types of variables you're trying to analyze are different in a new application.
So it's from app to app and even release to release, right?
Yes.
Okay. But we don't have patterns at all.
It's not applicable, yeah.
No custom pattern definition. It's kind of a backhanded. We don't have that because we don't have that.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of variant analysis, which we really don't do, even if you really think about it, right? So ours is applying certain standard security, practices or, notifications and seeing if we have that, that sort of a problem on our side, right? So
Right.
It's very different, really. It's completely different spaces, the two of them. I think it's smaller now. Did you rebuild it?
It did that. Oh goodness, I'm trying to find that. We'll just do this again. Let's just fix this and we'll do it again. But I think it just reloaded and yeah,
Rebuild it.
It's doing that now. Either that or that. I did reload it though, so maybe you're right. Maybe it was.
So it has those dashes. Removing those dashes definitely shortened it.
Yeah, perhaps. Okay, so we'll do that again. Okay, so let's check these out again. Ease of use makes sense. First, you have to manually discover identify problems before you can code a variant for future use. Practical application of multiple industry leading standards.
This is actually apples to oranges, really, because this variant analysis, you're really talking general, right? Security.
Mm-hmm. So, so maybe what we do here is we say, because variant analysis is a new term for me, but maybe what we do is here we say has variant analysis, but you have to manually discover, identify, etc. Right. Is that a thing?
You just say manually identify the problem. You don't discover it. You identify. You say, I want to look for blah, right?
Yeah.
And or identify or define. Manually define the problem before you can code a variant, right, for future
Define
use.
the problem. Define
Yeah.
the problem before you can code a variant for future use. Okay. And then this, the apples or the oranges, I guess. So this said proactive application of multiple industry leading standards to identify vulnerabilities. Okay.
Or automated.
So this, instead of having variant analysis, what we do is we say, let me try this. Uses multiple industry leading standards to identify vulnerabilities. Is that enough? I'll just say that. Multiple predefined industry leading standards to identify vulnerabilities. Does that work? So breadth of application, highly customized standards that are specific to the enterprise application, broad visibility into common security vulnerabilities. Okay. Coding standards enforce compliance with internal coding standards. Why do we say not supported? We have coding standards.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. I didn't see it in our.
So code quality should be defined. It's not standards that you can set, but they are coding standards that are predefined as part of code climate. And there probably is a way to set them, but this is what code quality does. So we do. Question is, can we make
it a template sense, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Excuse me. Create a code quality job in your CI/CD pipeline, which will scan your source code for code quality issues. The report will be saved to the artifact, later downloaded, blah, blah, blah. Implementing a custom tool. Oh, with the output. Checks the generated report. Oh, that's just a report. GitLab code quality.
It says code climate engines. That's really one that has the definition of code quality.
That's this guy. The question is, excuse me, do we enable customized definitions, right? Or policies? I don't even know if the code climate tool itself enables that. Well, there's nothing under engineering intelligence. Yeah, I don't really know enough about the details of what we've got here to know.
What does learn more do on the right hand side? Yeah, what's that?
Let's get to the docs, wouldn't it?
Okay. What's next? I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it has that. This is coding standards. Loosely, you could say code quality manages coding standards. It's just whether or not it's definable, because here we're saying enforce compliance with internal coding standards.
Yes, you can say
It's internal coding standards.
yes, your coding standards. You define those standards.
So what we'll say then is enforced compliance with predefined coding standards.
Okay.
Actually, hey, Kitty, I want to say defined coding standards. I don't want to predefine it. What does that mean? Expertise needed. Need specific knowledge of QL, syntax, etc. before any variant can be created. I don't know what etc. means, so. Oh, syntax is one of the things. QL and syntax.
QL, just go knowledge of QL syntax. That's it. To create any variant, to create any variant, like.
Okay. Oops. Syntax. Heavy use of custom regex. That depends on certain coding standards. What certain coding?
There's more details. It's like that's kind of. I would say regex that depends on your internal coding standards. Again, based on you have to study your internal coding standards and then use regex to map it and do all that, right?
Okay. Mapped to internal
coding standards. Yeah.
And so automated. What's automated?
It kind of comes back to there is the apples and oranges, right? We are comparing what we are doing, so it's not it's either not applicable or not supported. But if you're willing to compare apples and oranges, then it's automated in our case, right?
So what was the last time we did? So we said has variant analysis, but first. So is that the same? This is about variant analysis. In order to do it, you have to.
This is about the level of expertise needed, right? So it's
on variant. Or so we could say for variant analysis, need specific knowledge, etc. And here, what is the orange? What's automated? The just general analysis.
It's just the analysis, yeah. The code for security vulnerabilities, right? This is where sort of it's an apples and oranges, right? Because there it's very specific to variant analysis, and here it is all your dependencies and what are the vulnerabilities, what are the patches needed, and all that stuff, right? It's like we're what we're doing with the security testing is a little bit different level.
Can I say the same thing from here to here?
I guess, yeah.
Because this was about variant analysis too, right?
Correct.
So if I say this, because that's what we mean by automated, right? Uses multiple predefined industry-leading standards to identify vulnerabilities. Is that accurate?
If you're willing to go apples and oranges a little bit, or if not,
well, we kind of have to, right? Because we're not saying variant analysis here and then doing a feature breakdown.
Yeah.
We're saying expertise needed. Well,
correct.
I'm sure there's expertise needed in some areas for GitLab too.
That's not what I gather, generally looking at it, right? The idea here is, as a developer, you don't have to be a security expert, but it runs those vulnerability analysis and kind of surfaces things to you, and then you can then put it as an issue. And then obviously to fix it, perhaps you need some expertise, but at least to identify these things and, get work done, we definitely don't need the expertise, it seems like.
Okay.
The problem here is we are comparing variant analysis with a more generic security vulnerability
Right. Well,
analysis,
right.
right? That's the
Like you
basic
said, the
challenge
problem
here.
is we're comparing apples to oranges. So I'm trying to get like the problem that's the area that's troubling me is the detail column, because what is this? What is detail, right? Because the detail that's listed, or I mean, I know I gave it that name, but expertise needed is too generic of anything to say like, what are we talking about? Um, for SEML, it's variant analysis, and for GitLab, it's just predefined stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So really, maybe it's security scanning depth, or security scanning completeness, or security, like, I think it does come down to some sort of, not necessarily a feature, but there's a specific thing that we're comparing. What is it like for a customer to do this across these tools, right? By the way, do we need to record this part? I think we're kind of done with the
No, we don't need to. Yeah, I think we should turn
okay.
off. This is like
Be a very long
too deep in SEML land right now.
exactly. Let me try and get to the point where I can stop.